Welcome to Rock Shop Talk. Our show talks best practices, fun anecdotes, and the latest cutting-edge technology in our field to kick your screen printing gears into hyperdrive. Today's episode features the role of screen printing in activism and altruism, and we're joined by our special guest, Kamelah Mimi Adams of Mimi's Fresh Teas, PDX, and Cristen Sousa of ROQ US. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll be right back.
I want to welcome everybody back to Rock Shop Talk. Today we are discussing the role of screen printing in activism and altruism, and we are joined by our special guest, Kamelah Mimi Adams of Mimi's Fresh Teas, Cristen Sousa of ROQ US. I am ROQ US President, Ross Hunter, and alongside of me here is our creative producer, Mr. Merrill Capps.
Hello, everyone.
And we've got an exciting show scheduled today. Kamelah, thank you so much for joining us. And we're going to kind of get into some cool stories and how the art of print really says a lot to a lot of people and isn't just pulling a squeegee and ink through a screen. So it's going to be a good day. So I want to kick it off. Cristen actually brought Kamelah to us through Facebook post, and we reached out about a month ago, I think, and we're able to get in touch and get you here. And going to kind of go through a journey of what you've been through in terms of your business and how T-shirts have maybe changed your life a little bit. So, Cristen, I'm going to take it over to you and kind of have you kick this off.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mimi, for joining us. I, like Ross said, a really good friend of mine reached out with your Facebook post just because she knows, I've been in the industry for a while and we're local to Portland and everything going on in the world. And she sent me the post, and I, obviously had my own reaction to it, which I'd like you to touch on your experience. But I felt it really important to bring it to our group because we're a leader in this industry, and especially sharing it with our internal team, not only as neighbors, but community members too. And so I just would like to kick it off to you to kind of walk us through your experience, what happened, to give our listeners an idea of, what was going on for those who aren't local to Portland. So I'll leave you to it.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. I'm Kamelah Adams, owner of Mimi's Fresh Teas, and I started my company about 2.5 years ago. I just wanted to start a conversation by putting your feelings on your shirt. So just to give you a little bit of history of why I started the company. I also did a lot of activism work in the school system, and I've seen a lot of the inequities that happens in the education system. And that's what prompted me really to create messaging on a shirt. But I believe you're talking about the post from back in July, the hate mail that I received. That was very disturbing and horrifying for me and my family. To get a letter mailed to you, to your home address, was very frightening. And, I'm just trying to spread love and start a conversation around social justice. And someone was, they want to just continue to uphold white supremacy. I'm just going to be honest. And by trying to threaten me through, mail or whatever. And I was very scared. So it was very challenging to post that. My daughter is actually the one that said, you need to post that. Because I wasn't going to. I was just going to. I don't know what I was going to do, but I did not think that I would post it. So finally I got the courage and I did so because I felt like everyone needed to know this is happening right now in 2020 in Portland, Oregon. And we all have to stand up to denounce racism in this country.
Well, and I'm glad you did post it, because had you not, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now, and so many other people wouldn't be having the conversations, that they've had maybe they not seen that. And it really, struck our company, and was one of those, I think, Cristen texted literally seconds after getting it. And to have someone not just in our local community, in our country, but then, in our little community of people decorating garments and trying to make a difference in this world. I mean, it definitely was extremely impactful. Just a quick question. When you got started 2.5 years ago, you said you're in education. I'm assuming in the Portland area. What was the message then? Because, when we go to your website now, I mean, we've got a great movement going on. Most of the designs, I'm wearing one, right now, have to do with the current climate of everything after George Floyd's, murder and kind of everything else that's unfolded after that. So when you got started, what was the message? What was the initial, words being put on these shirts for people?
Well, it was actually the Unity one that you're wearing. And
very cool.
Make racism wrong again.
Okay.
Because, I wish it's just kind of the make racism wrong again. It's just a play on words, because America has not been great to a lot of people of color, and, even the LGBTQ community. So even though it says racism, we have to start with racism, because everything else falls behind that. If you don't treat someone right because of their skin color, you're not going to treat them right because of their sexual preference. It's just kind of how it is. So yeah, those were my two original ones. I also had one that said that I might bring back Black history didn't start with slavery, because, I worked at Portland Public Schools for a while, but I was also a PTA executive, and we would always just see, like, every time Black History Month came around, it was always starting with slavery. So it's like, we can go a little deeper. Let's just start having deeper conversations about, what really happened. So that's kind of how it all originated and got started.
That's really cool. So, and just so our viewers know, you have a store. Do you have a physical location, or do you do everything online?
I just do everything online right now.
Everything online.
And I think it's a little risky to have with COVID, and then like receiving threats. I just don't feel comfortable having a actual storefront right now.
A brick and mortar. Absolutely. I sometimes want to forget about COVID, even though we can't. And I ask weird questions that would make sense in any normal day, but we've been living with this for so long that it almost seems like normal just to talk normal again, but you forget it's going on. Do you want to keep cruising, Cristen, with some more topics here?
Sure. Yeah. So as, kind of awful of an experience that I can't imagine how that was for you and your family, it seemed like the community really, from what I could tell from Facebook, just like leapt to you. And that was just so powerful to see, that I was really eager to kind of hear that from you, of like how that affected you, and kind of what was your takeaways from that?
Yeah. Oh, thank you for that question. The community just really showed up with love and support for me and my kids, and it was just beautiful. I don't think I would be here today if it wasn't for friends and family and community. I really don't. They kind of just picked me up and carried me, or just walked alongside with me. I received phone calls from a principal that I used to do PTA work, and she was just like, when they attacked you, they attacked us all. And that was just so powerful that she said that. And this initiated, we're starting a new Love Over Hate campaign on Sunday.
Oh, cool.
Where you can, we're just trying to combat hate in our community by just having that yard sign up. but also to creating a safe haven for children, so they'll know that this is a safe home, just in case you're riding your bike in the community, in particular kids of color too.
That's wonderful. Wow.
If you're riding your bike in the community and some person says something derogatory to you, you know that this person with this yard sign, you can go there for help, So you can read more about it. I think I posted it on my Instagram today, but
yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was actually just looking. I just saw that. I'll put it up to the phone. But.
Oh, very cool.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Oh, this is the shirt that you're wearing as well.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
It's bringing back. It's like just bringing back a sense of community, and it's that safe place. Which it's interesting. I mean, I'm raising a child myself right now, and it everything feels different, even for me, compared to when I was young. It's just not the same. And then I can't imagine adding a layer on top of that, and a layer on top of that, and a layer on top of that. So that's actually that's heartwarming. It's nice. Very cool.
Yeah, an ongoing, growing sanctuary.
Yes, absolutely.
That's powerful.
Absolutely.
Please, anytime that you post that, please let us know and be glad to share that. That's tremendous.
Okay. I'll tag you guys.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well,
I guess we could cruise into a quick commercial break and come back, and we'll dive a little deeper here. So we will be right back.
All right.
ROQ US is honored to join you and others like Mimi's Fresh Teas to help create a safe space for our industry and encourage and implement diverse and inclusive actions. And while we continue, we need your help in making the decorated apparel field more reflective and welcoming to everyone who wishes to be a part of it. To find out how you can be a critical part of the solution that unites us and empowers us all to press onward, please write to hello@roq.us or call 187-ROCKET-NOW. That's 877-674-8669.
All right. I want to welcome everybody back to Rock Shop Talk, your one-stop rock shop where we discuss all things screen printing. Today's episode features the role of screen printing in activism and altruism, and we are joined by our special guests, Kamelah Mimi Adams of Mimi's Fresh Teas and Cristen Sousa of ROQ US. I'm ROQ US President Ross Hunter, alongside with our creative producer, Mr. Merrill Caps.
Hello.
Awesome. So we've been having a good conversation. Want to dive kind of more in depth of what has inspired the designs behind everything that you're doing right now, and get kind of into a little bit of the details. So what, after the crazy ordeal that you dealt with, right, with the hate mail, we're talking about the post here in the last segment, how did that change your perspective in terms of what you were going to put out in the community, in terms of these designs, in terms of these, shirts, yard signs, everything else? Was there like a big shift in the way that you thought about your business and, what you were putting out to the community at that point?
Yeah, it was a shift. And then I was kind of even a little reluctant for a while to wear the Make Racism Wrong Again, because I didn't want to be targeted. But eventually I started wearing it again, but there was a shift to me, and I was just like, well, I'm putting out the right message, and I just have to keep going. It also inspired me too, just to start getting more creative and putting out more designs as well. So
you just say it kind of fueled the fire that was already lit and just took it up like 20 notches.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. What kind of words of advice would you give someone else, one of our listeners, anyone else that's going to, catch wind of this great podcast here? Advice, in terms of your experience, but other people have experienced this as well. People experience this every day. And what kind of words of advice can you give them based on what you've gone through?
You just have to keep going, but you have to lean on your community and friends and family. And that's what I did. Just continue to prosper and keep going no matter what.
So kind of the keep yourself busy, use it as fuel, make more change. That's awesome.
Keep moving.
So, we were talking a little bit before we actually started that, it's very important to us as a company, ROQ US, to embrace diversity, embrace inclusion. We've been making a lot of efforts through a lot of different avenues, both publicly and podcasts. And then we've created a diversity team internally, have brought in other partners and other people to really help us. And, being transparent, we're, in the Pacific Northwest, we have a very small team. It's a little diverse, but it's not extremely diverse. And so, it was important for us to bring in a lot of outside perspective to really make sure we're making a difference and we're not just talking, that we're truly providing a seat at our table, which was, a big takeaway we had out of another podcast, and that, we're being held accountable for what we're actually trying to do.
And we're not dictating those motions. We're taking all those voices. Absolutely. Which is, I think, the biggest thing that we could do is not listen to just this group.
Yeah. So. And the people listening, the people in our community can all get involved. We've got, a couple movements, Rock Together. We've got the Women Rock movement. We're going to continue to partner, with folks like you that are also, I'm sure, involved in all kinds of different things. Can you speak to what you've gotten involved in since you've started your business, and obviously as things have escalated and that fire's fueled more, that can maybe even be a resource for us, since we're neighbors and, we're looking to be more involved in stuff. So can you kind of elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, well, I'm really passionate about the education system and equitable education. So I still do like a little bit of PTA work, not as an exec anymore, but, I just kind of show up when, let's say, they're having a difficult conversation around funding and where that funding should go. I kind of just show up for my community and I don't know, like be the voice of reasoning. I still also too participate in protests because I feel it's still important to get out there and just protest for justice and inequality, and also to education, equitable education is incorporated in the protest for me because I do see a lot of disparities in the education system, especially now with virtual learning. There are a lot of kids been left behind, and it's a lot of kids of color, but also a lot of SPED kids.
Absolutely.
And it's just really sad, and we have to, and I don't know what the answer is for that, but at least we can start having the conversation about that, especially when it comes to education and where money should be allocated.
Absolutely.
Not to totally shift topics here, but I think it ties into this. So my understanding about your business is that you don't particularly do the printing yourself, you outsource. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So your principal approach to this is the design.
Yes.
Correct. Okay. So can you talk to us about, or talk to the ideas of how you implement these current events, these movements, et cetera? How do you bring that into the design, and how does that design maybe inform where you go next? And maybe talk more about how that Unity shirt comes in, because it's pretty spectacular. Ross, can we seal that again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it spears from just the conversations and stuff I've had working in the education system, doing equity training, living my life as a Black woman. And then too, I have a son who, is a Black boy, and his experience is totally different than mine. Mm-hmm. So, it's just, I don't know, I guess it's just like a natural experience. And I just I'm all about community and relationship building. And I know, like, in order to tackle, a lot of the disparities that are happening racially or just equitable disparities, that we need to be unified. We all have to come together and start having these discussions and just start putting, and then also taking action. And action can be down in Salem. Action can be protesting, doing these podcasts. I mean, there is a lot that you can take action. And I hope that answers your question.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting too. You talk a lot about education, which I love. I come from a family of educators. My mom was an educator, still is. Same. Actually in Southern California. My wife's an educator here in Washington, and she's been working hard on a lot of what you're talking about in terms of equity in education. She does a lot of teacher trainings, and she's actually been involved in their diversity team here, trying to solve, a lot of issues that, have been and need to be taken care of in order for these kids, especially right now. Like you're saying, we've got everyone at home and they don't have access to computers or technology or whatever the case may be, or there's so many things going on right now. It's nuts. But we talk about protesting, we talk about movements and being involved, and it always sticks out to me, education, because for me, this movement for us, as a company, really started with reading. And we as a group all read White Fragility. And I'll tell you, it extremely opened my eyes. And I've always been someone that, I guess for lack of better terms, I was just colorblind, because I was always inclusive, and I never had an issue with racism or any of those kinds of things, but I also wasn't part of the solution. And that was the biggest takeaway that I had in that book. It's like, hey, it's not that you're not doing anything wrong. The wrong thing you're doing is by not doing something, which is interesting as you go through this from an educational process, because it's just, you're like, oh, well, I'm doing my part, or, maybe it's just something I didn't even really process because it's not something that I thought about. And then finding out that was my issue was really interesting. And so I feel like, a big part of us making a change in this country, around this world, is going to really start with people self-reflecting and educating themselves on what it really, what is white supremacy? What is colorblindness? What are all these things? And you're right. If we can start to fix racism, we can start to fix inequality, as a whole. And that's, what we've been trying to do with ROQ Together. It's about everyone. It's, the LGBTQ community. It's, Black business owners, female business owners, all these people coming together and say, hey, we're underrepresented, but it all starts with education, because most people don't even see it. Right. Right. And that's what's really tough.
Yeah.
And from your experience as an educator, as someone leading the charge here, are there specific resources? Like for us, we did, as a collective, read White Fragility. Is there other resources that you would recommend that would really be beneficial and get the message out that you're trying to say?
Yeah, a friend of mine told me about it, and I can't think of it at the top of my head, but I can email it to you guys. Okay. It's a podcast. She said it was and my friend is, she's a white woman, where we used to do PTA work together, so we became really close friends. She told me about that podcast, but there's also a book too on how to be an anti-racist.
Yeah.
And I hear that's a really good book too.
I think my wife just finished that one.
Oh, nice.
With her group.
Nice.
So yeah, email us too, but I'll get that title as well.
Documentaries too, or, I certainly have my favorites, but I would love to hear yours, because that's way more valuable in my opinion for this.
Oh gosh. Well, I think there is a documentary on John Lewis, and I just, I don't know. I just loved him. Also, the Becoming documentary with Michelle Obama.
Yep.
That one too is one of my favorites. And then Oprah's my favorite too. So those are, I'm just naming off my top 3 favorites. She has a a new segment on Apple TV. I think it's called Beyond Conversations or.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we watched all of those. Oprah's incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, those her first episode of that, I actually found myself very emotional. I mean, it was just such an impactful, piece. She's done an incredible job with that.
Well, we can also like compile all of these and put them on the Rock Together page, like towards the bottom. We have a spot for like what we internally have been doing. So like reading White Fragility as a group, linking the book or audio book to anybody else. And we can, Mimi, if you want to send us whatever, you recommend, I can go in and add that to the page. So we just have like a running list of it all.
That'd be awesome. By the way, I watched 13th. You were talking about 13th.
Yeah, that too. Mm-hmm.
That blew my mind with the politics when they got to like Bill Clinton, and I was like, "What? Whoa!" Not what I would think. Yeah. I mean, it was crazy just to see
how sinister it is.
Mm-hmm. It was, that blew my mind.
Mm-hmm. One that really moved me was the James Baldwin, I Am Not Your Negro. Have you seen that documentary?
I haven't.
Golly. Sam Jackson narrates Baldwin's words. And I mean, Mr. Baldwin's words alone are enough, but then you add the weight of Mr. Jackson and just right in the feels, which it needs to do,
Absolutely. We'll add some of these resources. So that's very cool. So last question before we go to a commercial break. From your point of view, how many companies like ours and other digital screen print, t-shirt, garment producing companies be involved in more of these efforts? Like, what would you like to see from any industry? So I guess more or less the question boils down to, what can businesses as a whole be doing to start to impact more change?
That's a really good question. I think just more, I like community engagement and then having these conversations around inequalities. One of my trainings I used to do was called like courageous conversations. And I don't know if that's still around, but like maybe if, certain businesses, just start really doing a lot of deeper equity work and being inclusive, making sure that you have everyone at the table, right? Mm-hmm. You'll have multiple perspectives. I think that's a good start. Wow.
Awesome. Very cool. We'll jump into our next commercial break, and we will be right back. Mm-hmm. In recognition, gratitude, and celebration of the profound contributions made by the incredible women in our industry, we invite you to join the Women Rock movement by joining our supportive group of professionals and newcomers alike. To be a part of making the decorated apparel space more welcoming to women, please search #WomenRock. That's #Women, ROQ, on Facebook. To show your support for Mimi's Fresh Tees and their mission for inclusion and equality, please visit mimisfreshteespdx.com and pick up an Equality or Unity t-shirt. I want to welcome everybody back to Rock Shop Talk, your one-stop rock shop where we talk all things screen printing. Today's episode features the role of screen printing in activism and altruism, and we are joined by our special guest, Kamelah Mimi Adams. Hello, how are you? Thanks for being with us, of Mimi's Fresh Tees.
PDX.
Oh, I'm just Mimi's
adding.
Fresh Tees, PDX.
Isn't that part of the website?
Oh, yeah, Mimi's Fresh Tees, PDX.com.
See?
There we go.
See? I'm learning.
PDX.
Yeah. Portland. Represent.
Absolutely.
Right.
We're also joined by Cristen Sousa of ROQ US. I'm ROQ US President Ross Hunter. Alongside of me, Mr. Merrill Capps, our creative producer.
Hello.
Kicking it to you, Mr. Capps.
Oh, yes. All right. So everything discussed so far has led up to this bigger question of where digital and screen printing fits in the world of activism and altruism. between Black Lives Matter movement of today, civil rights movement of the 60s, and women's suffrage at the turn of the last century. Art and messaging and signage and wardrobe has played a critical part in inspiring these movements. So to get them off the ground and succeed. So from your point of view, how much influence do you credit T-shirts and other decorated garments, et cetera, when it comes to creating an impact with these kinds of efforts?
Yeah, I think it's really impactful because you're using your shirt or other garments as a billboard to get your message across. So like when I go to protests, sometimes I don't even bring a sign. You can just read my shirt.
That's awesome. And we had talked earlier, you actually talking about signs. You've got a new kind of, I guess, movement. I can call it a movement, a new design. Can you kind of explain to our viewers what you're working on now and how that would relate to this question? Because it's a very interesting concept.
Yeah, so a friend called me when, we received the hate letter, and he said, I just want your kids to know that the community is here for them. You're protected, you're safe. And he came up with the idea of yard signs, and I just thought it was amazing. And so him and I and another local designer, we all got together and came up with the yard sign. And it's called PDX Love Over Hate. And it just basically we just wanted to spread love in the community, right? But also to say, we are not tolerating hate in our community. And this is a safe place for anyone, for people of color, especially children.
And so you gave an analogy earlier before we were on the podcast of what if someone saw the sign? Take us through an example of that, because that was a really beautiful example.
Yeah, if someone saw the sign, they would know that this is a safe place for them to go. For example, my son is riding the bike through the neighborhood, and someone says a derogatory term to him. He know that by seeing that yard sign in this person's yard, that's a safe place he could go.
That's awesome.
And it's just very moving to me that I'm seeing so many now pop up, and as me and my kids are driving, they're like, oh, there's another sign, and they don't even know whose house it is. And it's just beautiful.
Wow.
People are showing.
That's really cool. And again, where art and messaging, right, just comes together, and something as simple as a yard sign to create safety, to create community, to, really send a message to everyone there. That's powerful stuff.
And it's all positive too, in just a world right now of just negativity it brings. I think that's one of the silver linings. I think in any time of turmoil, art seems to always come out and be a voice of help and solace.
I think we need to bring back hope. You guys remember hope?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, doesn't it feel totally appropriate? I mean, it was appropriate then, but it's still appropriate and so much, more. I remember when those came out. I mean, that was everywhere with the Obama campaign.
Shepard Fairey talking about signage and movement, that iconic image of Barack Obama with just hope underneath it, or change.
That was a horrible lawsuit, though.
Yeah, but
did you know about that?
Mm-hmm.
The lawsuit behind that? So the artist that made those, the image of Obama was actually owned by the Associated Press. And because there's not definitive rules around artistic copyright. So for example, take Mickey Mouse. You could change Mickey Mouse 95%, and Disney would totally still sue you because it's Disney, right? So, the artists had really taken this original photograph and completely morphed it into a beautiful piece of art, and still got sued for it. And it was a beautiful thing. And it's why would
I think that was a critical part of the campaign, his work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thinking of that, I mean, we're talking about signage, T-shirts, decorated apparel. Do you think that there's anything that distinguishes T-shirts, T-shirt design over a yard sign or a billboard or something else like that, that might make it more appealing than a traditional approach to signage?
Yeah, I think I love colors, and colors if you have a strong message, it just grabs people's attention.
Mm-hmm. I think this is amazing. Thinking about this conversation and really the whole idea of screen printing, I think of tribe building. Like it says who you are, says what you stand for. And I think it's really an incredible power that we have in this industry. And with that comes great responsibility. And to see companies like yours who are owning that in the darkest of experiences and then coming out with your Phoenix, it's sad that it's necessary, but it's so humbling and inspiring to witness. Just feeling that overwhelming sense of gratitude to be able to see that piercing light in the darkness, I think is the thing to remember. So I thank you for that. I thank you for your example. And any way that we can continue to support this and any other movement that is founded in compassion and sanctuary, I will always be a part of that. So please feel free to reach out anytime. Anyone who's listening as well, who's part of making such movements, please reach out to us at hello@roq.us, excuse me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's cool. And I'm proud every time I put on this t-shirt. So thank you. And the print quality, whoever did do it, did an impeccable job. Yeah. And I love the t-shirt choice as well. It's nice to be proud to put something on. And I think that's what's this whole interesting thing when we're talking about designing and talking about the t-shirt. Back at my company, our slogan was actually a t-shirt is not just a t-shirt. And I mean, you could take away from that whatever you wanted, but our theory was even if it's a concert shirt and it was a giveaway, you're going to open your closet one day, you're going to see it, and it's going to remind you of that experience and that day. And, with the shirts that Mimi's Fresh Tees is making, I put it on and I feel proud. There are ways to be a part of that positive change that makes you say, you know what, we are capable of this. Mm-hmm. This can happen. We all have to come together. We all have to educate and we all have to be a part of something and truly understand what we're a part of, which is a big thing.
Absolutely.
To be a part of being proud of the America that we are creating together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
So what's next for you? So what's the future look like for Mimi's Fresh Tees? Where are things going from here? What are your big goals, aspirations, dreams?
I just want to continue to, let me back up. I want to walk around. I want to see pretty much everybody wearing a unity shirt or make racism wrong again shirt, right? That would be pretty awesome. But also too, I just want to continue to grow and expand on my e-commerce because I don't know, unfortunately, it just seems like e-commerce is the way to go. But one of my favorite things is doing markets and just having that, that dialogue with people that come to market. So I do look forward to that again one day.
That's awesome. Very cool. Why don't you tell everyone listening where they can find you on your website, Instagram, Facebook, etc., so we can put the message out and maybe some more people will be wearing these great Unity shirts.
Yeah, you can find the Unity shirts at Mimi's Fresh Tees, pdx.com. You can follow me on Instagram at Mimi's Fresh Tees and on Facebook at Mimi's Fresh Tees.
All right. Easy and simple. I love those.
Yeah, it's best.
Not a crazy URL or Instagram handle with dashes and numbers and stuff. That's great. Do you have any last minute thoughts, Meryl?
I mean, if this craziness wasn't going on right now, if this terrible experience you went through did not happen, what would you want to be talking about right now?
I would probably still have the conversation, but it would really be centered around education.
What is your message for your life? If you had to narrow that down and one thing, what is the message Kamelah Mimi says?
You know what? Just continue to be your authentic self and continue to prosper and grow and build genuine relationships, because I'm really big on relationships and community building. So that would be my message.
Amen to that.
Absolutely.
Wow, this is a huge honor for us. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Cristen, do you have any other questions that you'd like to ask as well?
Do you have any new designs coming out? Because I want to get the one you're wearing now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of new designs coming out. I got a couple around RBG.
Yes.
Nice.
And I have this one online. I also have it in unisex. And then I'm launching the hoodies next week. So,
ooh,
have you done stickers yet?
I have it, and you're the second person this week.
You should.
Okay, so we have people. If you need people that do stickers, and I have people that actually are involved locally in making change that might do stickers at a good deal to kind of launch something, because I'd love a sticker. I mean, it's cool. We've got a gym in our garage, because of COVID, so you got to do what you can. And we put up a big board that we do our wall balls and stuff on. It's our sticker board, and we've got all these cool stickers, and it made me think of that, and like people on their cars, their back window. Yeah. So it's just always, driving around, and it'd be cool. So if you want some information, we'll email you over a contact that would probably be very more than happy to be a part of that. So, and
in connection to your yard sign, keeping everything safe, I think that could really work well on the road as well, especially with so many things happening with protests, et cetera, to know that there's at least some kind of safe vehicle.
That's actually kind of, the car in front of you.
Yeah.
I kind of like that, man. That's cool.
I do too. That's a really good idea. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us and taking your time. We'll send you some information on. Definitely get on our Facebook, the Women ROQ US, Rock Together. We'd love you to be a part of that group, because someday we may convince you to screen print. It's always our goal, but. It could be a lofty goal. That's okay. After what I told you before we started live, you may be like, that dude, didn't he say that he would never do this?
Well, you're both artists. You're both designers, and you like that part of it. And there are people who love the printing part of it.
Yeah. That's my whole background. I actually got into this. I have a degree in fine art. So I did this in college, and I was like, I always loved business. And I'm like, how do I sell art? And I tried the conventional, I'm a bougie artist, and I had a museum showings and had everything framed. And I remember I sold my first piece. I was so stoked. I sold it for $50. I think the frame cost me $100. So I was already at a loss. And then I'm like, t-shirts make sense. So that's how I got there.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me. Thank you so much. It's an honor.
A tremendous thanks to our special guests, Kamelah Mimi Adams of Mimi's Fresh Teas PDX and Cristen Sousa of ROQ US for participating today. As always, thank you for spending time with us this week. Tune in at your convenience or wherever you listen to your podcast by searching ROQ Shop Talk. That's ROQ Shop Talk. On our next show, we'll feature our Halloween special, Tales from the Press. If you'd like to request to be on the show, please visit roq.us/ROQ Shop Talk. That's roq.us/ROQ Shop Talk. If you found today's episode helpful, the greatest accolade we could ask for is for you to recommend it to a friend who you think may find it helpful as well. Please like, share, and subscribe on social media. Until next time, rockers, press onward.